This afternoon, yes, and it is this afternoon, I'm going to do a review for your informative speech. And I'll go through a number of documents, most of which I have posted. I think this very first one I may not have posted in this format. That's all right. We can make this work. Now, a few of you have already turned in your informative speech, which is the actual video, the recording, which is fine. After watching this, if you decide you want to change it, that's okay with me. You can change it and resubmit it. It's not a problem. Uh, so just bear that in mind. Let's take a look at the documents that I have here for the review. The first thing I'm going to go over is the requirements and guidelines for this informative speech. I've covered all of this material in one way or another, but here it is all in one place, one last time. All right, here we go. The target time. The target time for this speech is short. It's only 5 to 7 minutes long. That's a very short informative speech. It's not a whole lot of time to get much information uh, to your listeners. Uh, because this is an online class, I've decided to shorten it from the normal 6 to 8 minutes, but that should be fine. I've told you this before. I really must insist that you meet that minimum time. If you give a 3.5 minute informative speech, you haven't done much work on it. If you go way over the 7 minutes, then you haven't edited and focused enough. You should be able to do this within the target time that's provided. So 5 to 7 minutes. All right, the speech must be extemporaneous, like everything else that we've been trying to do. Okay, what does extemporaneous mean? It means that you've prepared and that you've practiced. That doesn't mean that you write out some ideas on a sheet of paper, turn on your camera, and start recording and just winging it. Do not do that. That happened in some of the self-introductory speeches. It was kind of like a stream of consciousness. No, you don't want to do that. This is all about preparation and practice. Once you've prepared your speech, record it a couple of times and listen to it. You'll be able to, it's just like writing a term paper. You'll be able to then go through and do a little editing and rethinking and making it better. That's perfectly all right. You have that advantage with the recording of the speeches, but do not do it off the top of your head, winging it. Also, I say don't read from a prepared text. Remember, you're working from an outline. You're working from an outline for the presentation, and so you're basically working from notes. If you write your speech out with a lot of texts, you're going to sit there and do this and look down at your piece of paper, and your eyes will be down. Even for the camera, you need to make eye contact. That means looking at the camera. All right, so don't read from a long prepared text. Once again, since this is online, you need to email me the outline as a Word document or a Google Doc. Either one works just fine. But make sure that you, especially, I've had some problems with the Google Docs. Make sure you send it as a shared document. Otherwise, I can't open it and I won't be able to see it, and we'll have to email back and forth and wait and blah, blah, blah. So make sure you do that. Also, for some of you who have already sent me your outline as part of the assignment for the heading information, which was not required, but that's fine. Uh, Please resend it when you actually send the recording, so that I have everything together. I don't want to have to go back and look for some of those outlines that have already been submitted. Just submit everything together. That should work. So you need to do those two together, the actual recording and send me that outline document as well so I can look at them together. All right. I say late submissions, that again, that kind of goes back to being in class. But if you send me your uh, video and you don't send me the outline, then I won't watch the video until I have the outline. And if you wait to do that, then you'll lose points for late submission. So just get it all together. Get it all to me together at one time. All right. Now, uh, what needs to be on this outline? And we're going to look at my outline again. I'll review this with you, but this needs to be on the top of your outline. Your name, so I know who you are, and please use the name you're registered under for this class. The class section. I have 4 classes. That helps so much, and I want to thank everyone who's been including the class section on your correspondence with me. It helps me tremendously. Come up with a title for the speech. It's kind of fun. What's the topic? Remember, the topic is a big, broad statement. The formation of gold. All right. All right. What is the type of speech? And you have all this information. There's 4 types. For the types, you need to pick object, process, event, or concept. Just pick one. Don't put object slash event or something. No, it's just pick one. Same thing for the pattern. The patterns are the chronological, spatial, topical. Been getting a lot of topical. Narrative or cause and effect. Once again, uh, it's just pick one of them and try to stick with it. I'm not going to ding you or something real bad over, well, I thought that was topical and not spatial or whatever. Just do your best and try to make it work. Do not put down somewhere that it's an informative speech. I know that's an informative speech. So title, topic, what type, and what pattern are you using? Now, the specific purpose, once again, remember the specific purpose is that statement that you write that is what you want everyone to know at the end of your speech. You're not going to say the specific purpose out loud. Do not start your recording and read this stuff to me. I'll look at it on the outline. This is for you and for me to look at. All right. So the specific purpose, that is a very focused, narrow statement of what you want your audience to know at the end of the speech. Remember those words, focused and narrow. You only have 5 to 7 minutes. Today, excuse me, let me try it again. I want my audience to know how gold is formed in the destruction of supermassive stars. All right, once I've determined that as my specific statement, I can go back and as I'm preparing my speech and look and see, does what I have in the speech actually support that specific statement? If it doesn't, throw it out and rethink. So the specific statement is very, very important. Just as an example, when I first came up with the gold speech about 2 years ago, when I was first drafting it out, in the second main point, I talked about the medical use of gold and the different kinds of carat of gold and all sorts of things, all of which I thought was very interesting. But when I looked back at my specific purpose, it had absolutely nothing to do with the formation of gold. So I threw it out. All right. So the specific purpose, it's the end game. It's what you want people to know. And everything you do in your speech must support the specific purpose. And then, of course, the thesis statement, I say 1 to 2 sentences. That's fine. Just don't make them long sentences. Usually 1 sentence is just fine. Remember, the thesis statement is what you actually say in the speech. All right. So once again, don't start your recording by reading all this to me. I'll just look at your outline and see it for myself. All right. Now this may seem like an odd requirement for an online class, but no handwritten outlines, please. I've had a few people with the self-introductory speech handwrite out their outline. I love handwriting, but it doesn't work well in this format. Uh, don't handwrite it out, type it out, and send it to me as a document of some in whatever format, uh, something that I can open. Yes, I've had a few people hold their outlines up in front of the camera. No, don't do that. I've had a few people take pictures of their handwritten outlines. No, don't do that either. Just do it as a typewritten document and send it to me. All right, now references. And I did send out an announcement trying to clarify this to make sure everyone understands. You need a minimum of 5 references for your speech. And you put those references at the end of the outline where I can look at them. I will talk a little bit more about those references in a bit. Uh, one thing that I want you, oh, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Also, in the speech itself, while you're talking, you must say at least 3 of those references out loud. You can say more, but you need to say at least 3 of them out loud, according to, or in the book by, or in the document, in the Nova documentary on PBS, whatever it is you want to use, that's fine. But you need to say it out loud in the speech for credibility. Also, I say here, don't say according to Wikipedia. Uh, I don't, unlike some professors, I don't think Wikipedia is evil. It can be quite handy, but it's not a true reference source. If you use a Wikipedia article, go to the bottom and see what links are down there. Where did this information come from? That's what you really want to use. So don't say a Wikipedia article. Also, do not use copy and pasted web addresses. I am not going to sit and click on web addresses to see what the heck the reference was supposed to be. If you only put a web address as a reference, I cannot give you credit for it. You need to tell me the name of the article, the online article, the date. There's usually a date when it was posted, uh, and uh, and that's pretty much all I need. But I need to know what the article actually was. All right, and again, the 5 references, the minimum of 5 references, must be at the end of the outline where I can see it. This is not real formal. They do not need to be in MLA format. I just need the basic information so I can see where the information came from. We'll look at my references again as an example. So there you go. Those are the basic requirements for this speech. Now then, let's take a quick look at my outline. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. It's in the Canvas files. You can go back and look at it. There's also an informative speech outline template that you can use. You can copy and paste it and fill in the blanks if you want, just to keep things simple. All right. So let's look at this. So this is all my heading information. My informative speech, I gave it a title, All That Glitters. The type of speech, I've decided it was a concept speech. It's using a topical pattern. The topic itself is the origin of gold. That's a pretty big, broad statement, but that's what the speech is about. All right, let's look at my specific purpose. I want my audience to know how gold is formed by the destruction of supermassive stars and why it's so special. Okay, everything I do from now on needs to support that specific purpose. If it doesn't, it needs to be thrown out. All right, and then my thesis statement, the gold we wear and all the gold on Earth was formed by the cataclysmic death of supermassive stars billions of years ago. I will say that, or I did say that in the speech. That's what I actually say. So these 2 items, the specific purpose and the thesis statement, are very, very important. All right, what else do I have here? Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through this item by item. My introduction, don't forget to tell us who you are. The grabber, this was my grabber. My credibility. Oh, look, I didn't write all my credibility out, did I? I know what my credibility is. You can make more notes than I have. Just don't write out paragraphs and then sit in or stand and read them. All right. So, yeah, I wrote a little bit of teaching, writing, working in astronomy, and so on. And then I'm still in the introduction. The third part here, central idea, my thesis statement. And there it is. I say that out loud in the speech. And then I have my three main points: what ancient people thought of gold, how much gold is there, and how did we figure out where it comes from. Okay, those are my three main points. Transition statement, and again, if you use the template I provided with you for you, this is all right there. You can literally fill in the blank. The body of the speech. Okay, according to the book. There's one of those references. Now, I actually say this out loud in the speech. According to the book, Gold in Nature. All right, so I start right out in my first main point with a reference, a verbal reference. And then I have three subpoints. If you have more than three subpoints for a 5 to 7 minute speech, you've got too much information. You're trying to do too much in a very short speech. If you have more than two or three subpoints for each main point. So there I had three main point or subpoints for that first main point. That's hard to keep track of. And then I have a transition statement. Remember the importance of those? It's so people know you're moving on to your next idea. My second main point, I did it again. I start right out with a verbal reference. According to Barron's financial report. All right. So there I said it. I established credibility for my information by telling you where I got this from. And then I have three main points. For some reason, I have BCD. I hadn't noticed that before, but it'll do. It should be ABC, uh, but it's still just three main points. I'm not sure how that happened. So then another transition statement. I move on to the third main point. Uh, I talk a little bit about the physics of gold as an element, and then I say, in the book, The Magic Furnace. All right, so there's my third verbal reference that I got into the speech. And then another transition statement. I move on to the conclusion. I restate my thesis. I changed it a little bit. I'm not saying it word for word the way I had it, but it's similar to it. All right, and then I review my main points. Today I talked about ancient people, not much gold, and how we figured out where its cosmic origins. And then I have a final thought, a nice wrap up. Remember, this is what people are going to remember. It's the last thing you say. In the book, they call it the recency effect. Okay, why can't they just say they'll remember the last thing you say? But that's exactly what it means. The most recent thing people hear is what they're going to remember. So there you go. And then I say thank you. All right. And then my references, I have, how many do I have here? One, two, three, four, five. Oh, I have six. Okay. Astronomy Magazine, 2017. Astronomy Magazine, 2020. Oh my, look who wrote that one. All right. The Magic Furnace, Gold, Nature, and Culture. And then I only used one online source. I actually used magazines and books. But here's the online source. Do you see a web address there? No, I couldn't care less. All right, but I do have Barron's Financial Report 2016, an online source. That's what I need to see so I know where it's coming from. If I'm really curious, it would be pretty easy for me to type in Barron's Financial Report 2016 and it's going to pop right up. All right. But this is what I need to see. It's a very simple format. It's not MLA, and it's just my references so that you can see exactly where I got the information. So there you go. That's all you have to do at the bottom of your outline. And once again, you don't have to then read these to us. This is just for me to see what reference material you use to prepare your speech. So there you go. There's the outline again. Now, the rubric. I'm going to have to squint to see. Well, I'll squint with one eye. I'm going to have to squint to see this myself. All right. Again, this is in the file. It's already there. The informative speech rubric. What am I looking for? Do you tell us who you are, and do you have a grabber? This is getting more important. You need to pull people into your speech. All right. Do you establish your credibility? Quite often, I have, in class where I'm making quick notes, sometimes I'll write, "Why are you giving this speech?" If you don't establish your credibility, why are you even giving this speech? All right, so establish your credibility. Once again, it can be very simple. I've used the example of the speech about the sinking of the Titanic that I found online, and the credibility was, the young lady said, I've always been fascinated by the Titanic and the events that led to its sinking by a giant iceberg. I've read as many books as I can find. I've watched all the movies, and I even went to the Titanic exhibit down at the Tropicana or something like that. That's credibility. Obviously, she's probably 19, 20 years old. She wasn't on the Titanic. She's not a world expert on it, but she tells us she cares enough that she's gone to all this trouble. So establish your credibility. And then, of course, tell us what the speech is going to be about, your thesis statement and your preview. And once again, I have here, is it well organized and easy to follow? Are you jumping around? Is your information all mixed up? Uh, does it make some kind of sense in the order you present it? Uh, do you provide those three reference sources in the speech? Um, let's see. Looks like there's some misspell. It doesn't matter. I'll correct this before I repost it. But anyway, is it interesting? It's got to be interesting to your audience. Uh, is it obvious that you've gone to some effort to learn about the topic? Um, Good transitions. And then misspelled here, extemporaneous delivery. Was it obviously well prepared and practiced before it was recorded? Okay. All right. And then basic delivery stuff. Uh, is your voice loud enough? Make sure you're close enough to your microphone that I can hear you. I've had a few speeches come in where people stood further from their recording device, whatever it might be, which was I get it, and it was very effective. Just make sure you listen to it later and you're convinced that I'll be able to hear it. Okay, vocal variety. Do you just sit there and talk like this the whole time and you're not very interested and there's no facial expression and you just want to get this speech over and done with? Okay, that makes for a pretty dull speech, doesn't it? Are you looking at the camera? Eye contact? Um, are you dancing around? Again, some of this kind of goes back to giving the speeches live, but it's still appropriate even for a recorded presentation. And then the conclusion. Do you review the main ideas? Do you bring us back around to where you started? And do you have a good conclusion? Is it something that wraps things up, ties up the bow or the package with a bow, and says, "Isn't this great?" All right. And then, of course, the target time. Did you meet the minimum target time? Did you go way over the 7-minute limit? And again, I'm pretty generous with leeway, but only to a point. So you've got to at least meet that 5 minutes, and please don't exceed the 7 minutes by very much. All right, so there you go, 90 points, and then 30 points for the outline uh, with the references. So I hope this helps. I hope this clears up any confusion. Again, the most of these documents are already in the file. I'll go back and check. I've posted so many things, even I need to go back and look. I don't think I posted this specifically, the requirements and guidelines. I'll go back and look. I will repost it or post it first time. Anyway, it'll be there for you uh, in the file or on an announcement. So I hope that's helpful. If you have questions, please email me and ask. If you're confused about your topic, if you want me to review your outline, I'll be glad to try to do that. But don't, these things are due on Sunday. Please don't wait until Sunday at 2 o'clock and send me your outline and say, hey, Ray, what do you think? Am I on track? That's too late. You've got to get it to me here in the next few days, or there just won't be time for me to review all of them. So, anyway, uh, I hope this was helpful, and watch for some more announcements. I will start picking up on finishing up the lectures from the book. I think right now you have all the information you need to really to really get you going. So take care, and again, contact me if you have questions. Thank you so much.